So yes, I've never actually played a Trails game. Being a longtime JRPG fan, I've heard about how great this series is, but I don't know, it was just really intimidating to get into. So this is a game that I'd heard about years ago and it got a massive cult following, and then it came out on the PC and it just got even bigger, and now with this release, a lot more people are playing this game. And you know what? I realized I really messed up not playing this the first time around. I briefly played the original Trails into the Sky on the PSP, but to be honest with you, I dropped it after just a few hours, so I had no idea what I was going into with the remake of Trails in the Sky First Chapter. Now, people had always described this game as a slow burn with heavy dialogue and very focused on world building, and if I'm honest, that was kind of what I found in the PSP version. But after finally sitting down and finishing Trails into the Sky FC, I get it. So, at its core, Trails into the Sky First Chapter is a classic JRPG, but not in the way you might expect. There is no immediate world-ending threat, no ancient evil teased in the opening hour, and no prophecy hanging over the characters. Instead, the game starts very small, and I mean very small. You play as Estelle Bright, a trainee bracer learning how to help people solve problems and slowly understand the world around her. Alongside her is Joshua, a calm, reserved adopted brother. The stakes are personal, local, and grounded, and honestly, the design makes perfect sense when you remember this game was originally built for the PSP. Something meant to be played in shorter sessions, gradually unfolding the story rather than dumping everything on you all at once. So let's get into the character Estelle Bright. She easily became one of my favorite characters in the video game almost instantly because she is one of the biggest reasons why this game actually works. She's really energetic, she's emotional, stubborn, optimistic, and occasionally reckless. She really is one of those characters that speaks before she thinks and charges headfirst into situations, and that makes her real. She's not a chosen one, she's not special because of her destiny, and throughout the game you see her character grow because of the experiences that she has. Watching her mature over the course of the game throughout conversations and mistakes and small victories is incredibly rewarding, and as a first-time Trails player, I really wasn't prepared for how attached I'd become to her. She feels less like an RPG avatar and more like a person whose journey you're simply experiencing and following with her. And then you get to Joshua, who is also a fantastic addition to the story, who gets brought into the Bright family and adopted, but you don't get told the full backstory, and I won't spoil them here either because that's one of the reasons why you should play this game. Joshua is quiet, intelligent, observant, and emotionally guarded. He acts as a natural counterbalance to Estelle's impulsiveness, and the relationship feels genuinely lived in. What impressed me the most is how subtle his character is. The game never forces anything on you, but instead pauses and expressions and carefully chosen dialogue hint that there's something more underlying beneath the surface. Without even touching on his past, Joshua is just one of those characters who consistently keeps you thinking and wondering about what secrets he holds. The restraint shown in the writing made me far more invested than if everything had just been spilled out immediately. So let's get into the world and the side characters, and one of the biggest surprises for me was how alive this world feels. Trails into the Sky FC has exceptional NPC writing. Characters don't just exist to hand out quests. They have routines, relationships, ongoing stories that change as the chapters progress. You'll return to towns and notice conversations are evolving, arguments get resolved, and situations change as the journey goes on. It's the kind of attention to detail that feels really rare, and again, it's impressive knowing this level of care existed on a PSP era JRPG. You start to realize this world wasn't built for just one game, it was built to last. In the game, you get to meet a great host of different characters, and they'll get to join in your party and add a really different dynamic to the feel of the party. These characters are part of the build-up of a current story plot that is going on, and they were fully fleshed out to have meaningful input to the game. While you may have characters that are in your party that cannot fight, their impact within the battle settings are still very meaningful to the game and fully fleshed out. And what I will say is some of these characters were absolutely some of my favorite characters in JRPGs as well. There were some really fantastic stories, really interesting characters that really enhanced this overhaul game. So what I will say about the story is, yes, Trails into the Sky FC is really slow, but it kind of is slow on purpose, and I wish I'd known this when I originally played the PSP version. This story really unfolds gradually as you travel from region to region, helping people and uncovering small-scale problems. At first, it feels almost episodic, which makes perfect sense for a portable game designed around short, meaningful play sessions. But then something interesting happens. You start noticing connections, smaller details all of a sudden matter, and throwaway lines come back later. By the time the story begins pulling its threads together, you're already emotionally invested, but not because of the shock value, but because of how much you care and have built up these relationships over time. Without spoiling anything, the final stretch of the game completely reframes what you've been experiencing. This isn't the full story, and this isn't the foundation. For those who don't know, this is actually part of a trilogy. So one of the things that's really been improved in this remake is the combat. The combat in this game is turn-based and tactical, with a strong emphasis on positioning and turn order. You can also fight some battles in an action combat setting similar to what you might know from the E series, but both styles are a lot of fun. It's not flashy, it's thoughtful and enjoyable. The augment system, which handles magic and character builds, often has surprising depth, especially impressive for the system, considering it was designed around the PSP's limitations. It's flexible without being overwhelming, and it rewards experimentation. A lot of my playthrough though, I'd find myself messing with the augment system, but it also has an auto build setting if that's not really your type of thing, so it's very approachable for all players. Combat never feels disconnected from the world either. Encounters feel purposeful rather than random, which helps maintain the immersion. The other thing I have to talk about with this game is the music and the soundtrack. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing. Falcom have always had amazing soundtracks for their games, and this is absolutely no exception. It's subtle, warm, and emotionally grounded. Town themes feel really comfortable and lived in, while travel music captures a sense of a quiet adventure. The game doesn't rely on big cinematic moments, but instead, the music gently supports the story, which works beautifully. And you know what? It really sets the vibes for the area where you are within the game, and by the end of the game, there were tracks that genuinely made me just stop and listen. So you know what? My final thoughts for this overall game for Trails in the Sky FC ends in a way that feels earned but not manipulative. It doesn't rely on shock for the sake of it. It relies on patience and character development and trust. And when the credits rolled, I didn't feel annoyed that the story wasn't finished. I felt intrigued as to what was actually going to happen next, and I was excited to know that this is just the beginning. I'm excited to see these characters grow in a way in which relationships were going to turn. And you know what? This little game that started off as a PSP game somehow evolved into one of the most ambitious JRPG sagas out there. So, as you can probably tell, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this game. I thought it was absolutely amazing, and I cannot believe that I took so long to actually sit down and play this game. But do you know what? I'm excited to get into the rest of the series too. I'm probably going to wait for the second chapter to come out and play that, and then the third hopefully not long after that, because we haven't got that long to go. It's September 2026 at the moment. So I'm actually super excited to continue on that story, but then I don't really know where to go next. I did speak to my buddy John Chicken Fillets, and he kind of recommended maybe looking at the Zero games or Trails to Azure. So I might go down that direction, but I know there's lots of different story arcs and you can go down, and there's lots of different opinions out there as to where you should actually start with this game. So tell me down in the comments below, where do you think I should start after playing Trails in the Sky FC? Do you think I should go down the FC Zero route, or should I look at like Cold Steel or something like that? Either way, I'm super excited to get into it. It's going to be an amazing journey. So anyways, thank you everyone for checking out this review, and I will catch you on the next one.